So, back in 2014, the Council of Europe decided to sanction Russia and take away their voting rights due to their invasion of Crimea and Ukraine. And last night we saw a huge betrayal in this assembly. And therefore we have a colleague from Ukraine here, a good friend who, of course, was disappointed. But I would like to pass over the word to Alex. How did you feel and what are you going to do now?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you and the majority of Swedish delegation, not all, because not all voted against yesterday, this night. For us, it's really betrayal. I have a comparison with the Munich betrayal of 1938, when European countries just betrayed their values and gave up to Hitler. And something close to it, as for me, happened this night. It's really, for Ukraine, it's a huge problem and a huge challenge, because now the whole country is discussing what had happened this night in the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. But first of all, I would like to thank those countries and political groups who were against. It's Poland, Georgia, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, and the majority of Swedish delegation.
Georgia as well, right?
And Georgia, yes, I said, and European Conservatives group, and ALDE group, which was 14 against 14, which is like all other groups unfortunately voted the different way, and majority of other groups voted for, and countries voted for. Especially for me, it's shocking the voting of Netherlands. After the report 2 days ago about that MH17 with 287 mostly Netherlands citizens was shot down by Russian military officers. And after this to vote to see them here, I can't understand it at all. But yeah, and certainly that's a huge problem for Council of Europe as an organization. That's a very big defeat for the authority of this organization, and in general for authority of whole Europe as a whole entity. So that's my position.
5 years ago, a big majority voted here in the chamber for Russia to lose their voting rights, as we said. But what do you think is the reason for the chamber to change their mind in that dramatic way during these 5 years? Because Russia didn't change so much, right?
Yeah, that's true.
What's your take on that?
Russia, there were adopted 7 resolutions by the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, partly with your help, so thank you one more time. But from these 7 resolutions, Russia had not implemented no one, so absolute zero implementation. And after, so what had happened? I think, first of all, there is some tiredness from all this story with Russian aggression. Okay, because 5 years ago it was something acute. Wow, one country member of the Council of Europe annexated of the territory of another country member of the Council of Europe for the first time in history. It never happened before. But now, after 5 years, it's became okay, so yes, we know Russia is aggressor, but we need to speak with them, blah, 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 blah. All these European, blah, 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 it started to work. That's first thing. The second thing is a big work of Russia, Russian propaganda, Russian influence, and we see it here in the assembly. The third thing is Russian blackmailing. There are people who are genuinely saying that the reason for them to vote for yesterday was that if not, Russia would leave the Council of Europe, and 140 million of Russian citizens would lose the protection of European Court of Human Rights. And it was a blackmailing from Putin. First he blackmailed the organization with money, now he's blackmailing the organization with people, like the leaf shield, terrorist tactics, classical one. And I think it was a mistake to go after the terrorist demands. But for some of them it was important. So I think all the reasons together, they gave this very sad result.
What do you think the members of the Council of Europe changed their mind? Why do you think they managed to do this betrayal?
I think that these arguments that we were discussing, this influence, this propaganda, altogether it made a pressure and they decided to do it. Also, we see that there is today we have a position of Germany and France, which leaders are saying that they want to use the Council of Europe as a dialogue platform with the Russian Federation. It's a big mistake. Why? Because who is represented in the in the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe? Members of the Parliament. And let's be true. Let's be fair. Is there a parliament in the Russian Federation? And the answer is no. Formally, there is. But really, it's not a parliament because they adopt anything that they receive from the Kremlin. So in Russia, it's a Russian empire. They have Emperor Vladimir Putin, and there is no parliament at all. So what dialogue we will have with whom? With people who are just nobody in Russia. Because they don't influence anything. You have influence in your parliament, you have influence in your parliament, I have influence in my parliament. But these people, they don't have any influence, any, on the decision making. So it's not a dialogue platform, nothing.
It was pretty dramatic scenes here last night, and today you guys chose to walk out the chamber in a protest against the whole development of the chamber here. And what's your future? Because you've been threatening the assembly of leaving the council. And what's your take now? How's the discussion going in your delegation group?
Yeah, we have different positions. Some of members of delegation think that we need to leave the Council of Europe at all after the decision, because their organization is now compromised. Yes, it doesn't have this authority it had before yesterday's night. And others think that we need to fight here because it's a real place where there are a lot of people like you, like other parliamentarians, who understand everything what is going on, and they need information from Ukraine, and Ukraine also need to take part in all these events and what's happening here. We don't have a decision for the moment. We have a decision of delegation for this session, so till Friday, to stop our taking part in any meetings, sittings, committees, and etc., except those which are about challenging of Russian credentials. It's the first decision, and the second decision to address Ukrainian parliament, Ukrainian president, Ukrainian government, to make a decision what Ukraine, like a country, like a state, will do in this situation. Not only us, because it's not our delegational question. It's the question of the whole nation, and we will have, coming back to Ukraine, we'll have a national debate what to do.
Of course, we hope that you will stay so we can fight together.
Yes, I hope we will make this decision, and because I think we will need to fight. It's not only about Ukraine, it's about Georgia, it's about Baltic countries, it's about Scandinavian countries, it's about, like we saw in Salisbury, it's about any country in the world where Russia could make an act of terrorism or aggression. So we need to fight together here.
Yeah, right now it seems like the countries who actually voted against are the countries who know Russia. They're the countries who know what we're up against.
They're closer to the border with the Russian Federation. All countries on the border, Georgia, Ukraine, with the direct access, except Finland. Finland is divided, and Sweden, and they were there against. Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia.
Yeah.
Yes. We stand beside you. And
thank you very much.
Good luck.
Yes. Thank you very much.